Good now.
Survivor specialists are back, and today I am joined by Peridiam. Always a pleasure to get him on. I feel like we always have him in the preseason or the off season, never actually in the season. It's a very rare occurrence. I think you might have done a recap with me at one point, but here we are. Super excited to have you back on and actually talk about something mid-season. You're coming in at the official merge / jury. We're getting all of it. You're coming in as official as you possibly can.
Yeah, this is we're in the middle of it. Was episode 7? I think there's
8.
We
8
might
coming up.
we might be getting an extra episode if the schedule is looking right. So yeah, this is like the middle of this season. I'm honestly always surprised, like when the numbers flat. I'm like, how many days I have like 12 people left in this season. What is happening? But
Yeah,
they make it work somehow, and they didn't do a double. I'm like, what are we in for? I feel like we're gonna get something a little bit different this year, unless my math is off.
no, I think you're right. Will and I talked about this. We did digging deeper the next day. I didn't get to do the recap episode on Wednesday because I was at Bryce and Wendell's event.
Ooh.
And then on Thursday, I jumped on with Will and we did digging deeper. And what we figured out is there's 11 people left. This Wednesday's final 11. The 13th is final 10. The 20th is final 9. The 27th is final 8. The 4th is final 7. I'm sorry. The 11th is final 6. And then the 18th will be a 5-person finale.
Okay. And isn't that 14 episodes?
It is an extra episode, yes.
Because they've done a 13 all new era.
Yeah, 8 will be on November 6, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. It will be 14 episodes, yeah.
Right. Okay.
So I think we're not getting a double boot, and maybe this just leans into the fact of like, what else is CBS really putting on other than Survivor at this point, right? Like Survivor deserves
not Big Brother Ranger Games. I don't know if you heard about that. They're not doing
it. Yeah.
They're not doing it this season, so I don't know what they're putting on. Yeah, Survivor until right before Christmas.
Until right before Christmas, literally the week before. And I wonder if maybe Christmas being on a Wednesday messed with this a little bit too, because you're not getting your normal like pre-Christmas Wednesday. You're getting a full week before Christmas. Because normally this would be on like the 21st or the 20th or something like that. But now this year they're just doing it the week before. So I don't know if that messed up their scheduling, even if it was with, what do you call it? Scripted TV, non-scripted TV. I don't know if that just messed with them a little bit, but to me, it kind of feels like it did because we never get 14 episodes. And Bryce and Wendell had originally posted that they were doing a finale party on the 11th. And then it's been confirmed. I'm pretty sure that they're doing it the 18th. And I'm pretty sure it's been confirmed that there actually is an episode on the 18th.
Hey, more Survivor. I'm here for it. I'm down. Let's keep going. I was looking into this months ago and I was like, I think the finale is on the 11th. But hey, all right, one more Survivor video for me. I'm here for it. Let's go.
I need it to be on the 18th because I'm on a vacation with my in-laws on the 11th. So if it's the 11th, that's going to be something.
I don't think it is the 11th, but yeah, hopefully for your sake, it's not.
That would be as extreme as me podcasting at 5:30 in the morning from France the one time when it was the finale of, God, I forget what season it was, 37, 38. I forget what season it was, but I was literally podcasting from.
This is over the holidays?
No, this was the May episode.
This was probably Ghost Island, maybe? Or
was it?
Extinction?
It was, what was it? That was 2016? 2017. It was 2017. So 7 years ago. What the hell was 7 years ago?
That was Game Changers.
So I stayed up till 5:30 in the morning in France to podcast the finale of Game Changers, just so everybody knows how dedicated I am to this. I just want to pat myself on the back for that. Stayed up until then to podcast Game Changers and then turned around and got on a plane and flew to Greece. So look at me. I love you guys. Look at that. Nobody else is that committed. Anyway. What do you think of the season so far?
Yeah, Survivor 47, right? That's what we're talking about. Yeah, I've liked it. I feel like it takes a lot for me to dislike a season. I'm usually ambivalent or neutral at worst. Even when I look at my rankings of all the seasons, I'm like, bottom 10 is where it starts to get questionable, but I really don't even dislike a lot of them. This season for me is, I mean, we're halfway through. Who knows? It could end on a less interesting note, but so far I've enjoyed every episode. I've been looking forward to what's coming next. It's doing it as Survivor does. It's given me a decent cast of characters. There's been some plot twists. There's some characters I'm rooting for, players I didn't expect. Winner picks going up in the air. Who knows who's going to win this season at this rate? I feel like I probably, other than the Gabler one, is like, I don't know exactly who's going to, I don't feel that confident with my winner picks. at all.
That's been a big talking point over here too. Will is starting to dive in on Andy's going to win. Andy's going to win. Andy's going to win.
Oh, I don't think Andy's gonna win.
I don't think Andy's going to
I
win
don't think
either.
Andy's gonna
Edgic was
win.
all over Sue, and then Sue got 0 confessionals last week, so I don't think Sue has a chance in hell. I
Yeah,
think Edgic.
RIP.
I like to throw Edgic under the bus when I can because I feel like I can do a pretty good job of reading the edit. Edgic's really good at predicting spoiled seasons. Nobody's better at
What do you
predicting
know?
spoiled seasons than Edgic.
It's just a coincidence. It's not, causation doesn't correlate.
Yeah, exactly. Whatever
just
the rule is.
coincidence, guys.
Couldn't figure out Gabler for their life. Couldn't figure out.
Look,
not figuring out
I've been an Edgic. I've reread every old Edgic thread going back to like Marquesas. I've rewatched Survivor seasons while reading Edgic as a companion piece. The Edgic threads from Survivor sucks. I love it, but I also don't put much stock into it personally. And it's not Edgic itself. It's just there have been hundreds, if not thousands, of people over the past 20 years that have dabbled in this craft.
Yes.
And it's just an amalgamation of people's subjective opinions. And then the data is kind of all over the place. And to me, it never really is very focused. So it's hard for me to put stock into whatever Edgic is trying to say, because I don't ever know really exactly what it is trying to say. Even when I've done it myself a couple times, and I'm like, I can't read this. It's like an Ouija board, It's like,
yeah.
So I sort of try to just pay attention to a couple of things here and there, but a lot of it is random. And the modern era or the newest era is a little more up in the air. I think the editing is some of the best they've ever had in the show's history. I wish they had this editing in like prior seasons, honestly.
Yeah.
But I don't. Yeah, the whole Edgic of it all is not looking great for some of these people.
Yeah, and I will say that doesn't mean don't keep doing Edgic. Don't keep doing. If you're having fun with it, do it. Blah blah.
Right. I say like if you're having fun, don't stop, because I've done it. It's fun. I create a whole website before my YouTube channel about editing, about analyzing the edit. It's a fun thing to get into, but a lot of the time I find that it's like doesn't really land.
What makes me the angriest, and this is the people I'm really talking to when I talk a little shit, is the people who legitimately will read spoilers and then act like they're Edgic readers, and they'll go and they'll influence the Edgic. Because during the Gabler season, you talked about this, but I feel like Gabler's his edit was so confusing. And at the Ellie vote, everybody's like, this guy's an idiot. Like the whole community was like, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. And I remember coming on the podcast and Alexa and I talked, and I said, Alexa, but what if Ellie really was never going to work with him, and this was the best movie he could have made? They didn't really show him in a negative light. And I was like the only person saying that. I got called names. People showed up at my house just to spit on me. That didn't happen. But,
sticks and stones. No.
Sticks and stones, man, and spit. But I was just like, I feel like that's what frustrates me. And this is a season that has been confirmed to me to be not spoiled.
I get more frustrated by the people who are like super over the top with how convinced they are that they know what's going on. Whether they're spoiled or not, I don't know. But like when in the middle of the season, and they'll just like denounce everyone else or just be like dicks about, their analysis, because that comes with it. You get overconfident. And they're almost usually always wrong. But it comes with the territory, I guess. People get really all in on their reads. They get tunnel vision and they justify everything. And sometimes it's just a Gabler. He's the winner, and it's just you just miss the forest for the trees. So
yeah. And all of that. The point is, I don't know who the hell's going to win this either. 47.
I don't either.
Weird.
I don't think my winner picks. I picked the 4 contenders at the beginning of the season. I don't feel very good about them at this point, which is weird. I don't know. I definitely don't feel great about half the cast winning.
Who did you pick as your 4?
I had Sam, Sierra, Teeny, and Sue.
Teeny's the only one I like out of that bunch.
And I agree. And I'm 50-50. I've been 50-50 on Teeny all season, other than like the first episode or so. I was like feeling pretty good, but yeah, not too hot on, definitely not hot on Sam or Sierra. I think they're in the middle. We can talk about in this episode, but Andy has got his targets set directly on them, and they don't really seem to know exactly how bad it's looking. I think the foreshadowing is like, I wish we got the episode that we're going to probably get next episode in 2 days than the episode that we got this week. This episode was good. I didn't dislike it, but I was being teased with what's coming. And I was like, I want that more. I don't care so much about Tuku going back to tribal. It's basically a pre-merge episode at this point. I was like, I really want to see this.
He worked really hard to call that the merge. Don't you dare say that was a pre-merge episode,
That was not the merge episode, Jeff. I'm sorry. You can't call that a merge. That was more of a pre-merge than last week, which Jeff didn't call the merge. So
It's so insane, man. It was a tribe swap. And we got a tribe swap.
I mean, I will be talking about that at the end of the season, but like Jeff, we did the merge episode by 40 seasons books, all 40 seasons. Last week, that was a merge. It was literally a merge and everything but the name that Jeff liked to call it. And then this week was essentially a post-merge swap for one episode, which they've done a lot these last 6-7 seasons. They did this exact one in 44 with Jam Jam and Matt Blankenship, and this whole situation where one tribe watched the other tribe basically shoot each other. That's what we got here. And I mean, we'll see if Rachel's in that same position at the end of this, but that's what it is. It's just a post-merge tribe swap twist. And a lot of fans don't like it because it's presented weirdly, which is such a thing. And I'm like, yeah, Jeff, you could do a better job, because I don't mind tribe swaps. I don't mind them in the pre-merge more. Post-merge, it's weird to have it for a one-off episode, but that's what we've been doing. And a lot of fans can't wrap their head around this entire episode structure and how they've been doing it for they've started doing it 10 seasons ago or so, at least. They did it in Ghost Island. That might have been the first time they did it, actually, but they've done it a lot where they've had this random, we're going to split the tribes up into two post-merge. One tribe goes to tribal or both tribes go to tribal, but the tribes are random. And it's like, I don't know. It's a different twist. Survivor's full of twists. It's just the rhythm of a season of Survivor usually doesn't have this happen. And we haven't really gotten what feels like a merge episode, other than I guess last week, sort of with Rome, but going, I don't know. It's what
I do agree with you. It kind of breaks the momentum. And I actually feel like this last episode, I got to watch it at the Bryson Wendell event. So obviously the excitement there is going to be higher, right? Like Gabler was there.
Oh,
Owen
yeah.
was there.
Oh, nice. Cool.
Darnell, of all people. Like,
I said bring Darnell back. Let's go for it.
Yeah, let's do it. So, like you had a bunch of people there and you have excited fans who are talking about it and, who's going to go home, what's going to happen. When you're watching it in a community setting like that, it's always going to be more exciting. You go to a bar to watch a football game, you don't like to watch it at home most of the time. And so, when I was watching it, it was really exciting. Then when I talked to Will the next day, he was pretty low on the episode. He was like, I think this was the worst episode of the season. And for me, this did feel like this felt like we had to get through this episode.
Yeah.
And it stunted the momentum because of the tribe split.
I agree. What I was saying at the beginning is we got teased with the continuation of the post-merge storyline of what's going to happen. And then it was sort of like, here's a subplot all of a sudden, like a random side adventure we went on with Tuku for basically an episode. And that's my biggest gripe. I rewatched the episode. I didn't dislike it. I liked it the first time. Second time I liked it too. I thought it was okay. For what it was fine. But in the context of this story of this season, I felt like it was a pre-merge episode basically, but in a weird roundabout, twisted, turvy way where we took a weird turn to get to Tuku going back to tribal for a second time. We saw Labo go twice. We saw Gata go twice. Now we've seen Tuku go twice. So basically it's like Tiana and TK were the pre-merge boots on Tuku, but it happened in a weird way. And the narrative of the season starts to get broken up a bit, which is annoying. And I don't know, like, would it have been better if they both went to tribal council? Probably not. It's like, it's the whole earn the merge. It's like we're being weird for the sake of it. Instead of just watching like a regular good episode of Survivor where they come back and we get a good juicy blindsides brewing, and maybe we get Andy creates a coalition against Sam or something, or we get some flip with the Tukus getting flipped on and there's a numbers majority, but we're going to get that next episode. So I suspect that's on the horizon. They teased us with it, and all right.
And that's something I've been really commending the editors for on this season, is I feel like the editors have done a great job of actually telling a multiple episode story.
I would agree. Yeah.
In past seasons, we do see a lot of here's your beginning, here's your middle, here's your end, goodbye, see you later, don't need you anymore. And then we move on. And like I always think about in season 36, probably the most egregious version of this was Kellen and Bradley are best buddies. They're doing everything together. Oh my God, how are they going to survive? Bradley goes home. The first confessional, I think, of the next episode is literally Kellen being like, we merged. I'm so happy. And it's like, you literally just lost your closest ally, who we were told the entire pre-merge was your closest ally. and there's no reaction to it. And I think with the 90-minute episodes, they've done a good job of setting the table and letting us know something's coming. And we saw that with Rome. Like, that was a really well designed, exit for Rome. And I think we've seen that. And I really like that, because that's how real TV shows are.
Yeah.
Episodic TV won't be like that. But when you're making an HBO style or an AMC style, the storyline continues from episode 1 to episode 13 to episode 70. That's what Survivor feels like it's finally starting to do a little bit more, which is what they used to do in older seasons. But it seems like in recent seasons, it really has been like, this is what has to happen this week. We'll worry about everything else later, to set the stage with the Genevieve, Andy, Saul stuff and mention Sam. We're all sitting there going, okay, well, Sam's gone. We all seen the split. We all knew that Andy, Sam, Sierra, Saul, what was it? And then the other two, Red, were all on the same tribe. So it was like, okay, Andy's going to flip and those two are going to go home. And it didn't happen. And it's like, oh my God, they're actually setting things up.
Yeah, no, I would agree with you on that one. They have done a good job with the 90 minutes, being able to tell a better story, because it's convoluted. And if you look at the first 4 seasons of the new era, they only hit the 60-minute episodes, and there's a lot less being fleshed out with the relationships. And I think having the extra half an hour has allowed us to have a better understanding of where people are, and it gets me more excited. And it's not just overloaded with advantages. I think it's the same amount, really, or even less in some extent. Like, I haven't felt there's too many advantages this season.
No, I haven't either.
Great. I like it a lot more. But yeah, there's just like, Jeff is a storyteller, but these stories, I'm like, Jeff, you got to understand, like, the narrative flow of how a story is told doesn't all of a sudden be like, okay, next chapter, we're building up to this revolution, and now we're going to go back over here to, like, essentially a pre-merge. And I guess they didn't pick all of Tuku being on the same post-swap tribe or whatever for this episode, but I mean, it's how it is. It's just how that's how it happened in 44, where it was Jam Jam versus Matt. And then we had the 3 Rata, the Orange tribe, and they basically got to pick off one of the 2. And it was like, all right.
They chose wrong, by the way. In case anybody doesn't know, they probably should have voted out Jam Jam.
In hindsight, they definitely, hindsight. Yeah. I mean, Matt seemed like he seemed like he was in a good spot with a lot of potential, and maybe he would have won instead. It would have been even more dominant. I don't know, but they definitely, in hindsight, they got that one off. But maybe did they get it right this time? Maybe we should rank who did the best, who did the worst, and everyone else in between.
Yeah, so I mean, we'll be ranking where we think their safety level is in this new episode. Sorry, I'm coming off of the weekend in New Orleans. I went to the Bryson Wendell event, and then I stayed in New Orleans, and I'm toast today.
No, it's all good.
Happy Halloween weekend.
I moved. This is a new house. First podcast in my new place. And,
oh wow!
This
Congratulations.
is the first podcast. Thank you. So like, I was trying to get the lighting and all that set up. It's basically the same room. Just everything's a little bit mirrored and whatever. But yeah,
I mean, you look good. Everything sounds good. You couldn't have picked a better podcast. Me stumbling over my words over here. So if you were going to mess up,
this is it. Look, I was like, there's a 50% chance my microphone won't turn on, because I don't know. I plugged it into the wrong way, or I don't know what's going on. So
I mean, you came in and you were like, do you have your microphone on? Are you using the right microphone? So, I mean, I'm over here breaking things more than you are. Yeah. But let me ask you this before we jump into that. This twist that we had, this advantage that Saul got, do you like this advantage? Do you think it was played correctly? And how do you think that this is going to impact this next episode and potentially the rest of the season?
Definitely played correctly. I liked what he did with it. I liked the decision he made. I do like the advantage giving the option instead of it being a forced, because I'm going to compare it to what happened on 44. If you don't remember, that was the same situation where one tribe went, the other tribe sat on the jury benches and watched. But in that episode, they had a control a vote advantage, where a random player, in this case would have been Saul, found this control a vote and could control a vote to vote whoever they wanted. And that's what they did against Matt. I think that's what happened, at least. I know Heidi had it, used it. I think she used it against Matt, but it didn't really matter much. And it was such a nothing burger. Whereas this one gave the option to be basically a block vote, control a vote in essence, or you can just straight up take somebody off the table, which is a much more interesting. So I'm like, if we're twisting it up with a post-merge swap, I don't think at this point it's like somebody's getting screwed over by this bad swap, which is what always happens with swaps. In this case, Rachel almost certainly goes, I think, based on what we saw, and that would have been a pretty boring episode. So maybe I'm just becoming numb to all the advantages and the twists at this point, but I'm like, you know what? I think I like this more than the Jam Jam Matt situation. I would prefer there to be options if you have the choice of like this advantage or that advantage, and it's not so broken because it's like you saved one person. But
Mhm.
I think I also liked how Saul was doing it, like keeping it to yourself. That's been not a recurring trend. It feels everybody's been very open, especially in the last 7 seasons of Survivor. They're
Yeah.
very open with each other, and Saul is like, "I'm not going to reveal," and I'm like, thank you. Like,
Mhm.
keep that ace up your sleeve. Do what Marianne did. Keep that in your pocket. Bust out the right time. Use that information. Like, you don't need to blab because what are you getting out of it? You've got
Yeah.
Rachel, and she's probably on your side. I don't know. I don't know. I liked it. Ultimately, I don't need it in the overall season, but I liked it here. And I was also like, I don't know. I was rooting for Rachel. I wanted her to survive. And I was
Mhm.
like, damn, this could be a really boring. Rachel goes unanimously shot in the dark, nothing burger, and
Yeah.
that would have been super. I'm like not that interested in the shot in the dark. Those plays don't excite me. So when they're like, "Oh, we have to get her to not use the shot in the dark," I'm like, "All right, here we go."
Got
Like,
Caleb into Time's best players of the new era, even though Gabler didn't make it as a winner.
yeah,
There you go.
yeah, there you
Caleb for
go.
that one play. Like he said, and I think he tweeted it, when you get the A without doing the homework. That was
Hmm.
it. No, I agree. And I think what we're working towards, and I've said a lot on this podcast this season, is Survivor's making the right decisions. They're moving in the right direction.
I
The,
agree.
the
Yeah,
twists that they're using are better than the twists from previous seasons. They're starting to get rid of some nonsense and bring back good stuff. We know that there was a schoolyard pick'em, even though we didn't get to watch it on the actual CBS
it's still
show,
good though.
but it's still good. This type of twist, though, I actually think really would work well with a schoolyard pick'em. Because if they had done a schoolyard pick here,
Left
you'd
one
be
out.
picking to try to
Or
say, you know
something.
what, I want to get Peridiam out of the game. So my whole alliance and Peridiam, great. Well, now you lose. You're going to tribal, great. We're going to vote out Peridium. But then you have this advantage on the other side that could be found by somebody who doesn't want to protect that person.
Right.
But it could be found by somebody who does. And now
Yeah.
it is kind of in the player's hands, even though there's production advantages and interference and whatever. Really, the players are playing. The players made the decision to split up the tribes this way. And I think that would have been a more satisfying way. Because imagine if this had been the actual tribe split and it was a pick 'em. And Tuku said, we're
Mm.
taking all the Tukus and we
And
are
like,
taking Rachel and we're getting Rachel out of here. And then this happens. You're so much more satisfied when Tiana goes home.
right. I also don't think Tiana got that screwed. Maybe I'm not thinking
I
hard
don't think
about
so
this.
either. I think she was,
But I'm like,
yeah,
you kind of got voted out basically in a pre-merge episode with your own tribe. It's
yeah.
like you had 13 days to bond with them.
Mhm.
It's sort of the writing was on the wall. It's just unfortunate that, I think with the whole post-merge situation. But yeah, I think that this was an okay situation. Rachel got, had the Amber situation where arise where she's all of a sudden randomly on another person on another tribe. And what does she do? How does she get out of it? Now in Amber's case, it came down to it was a little bit more, I'd say a spicier meatball than this one,
Mhm.
but still, I'm I'm here for it. I'm actually kind of rooting for Rachel more than I ever have all season
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with
after
that. I
this.
mean, I think
I'm looking forward to what she has to. I've been looking. Rachel's kind of been around, but she's kind of been like just chilling. And now I'm like, oh, maybe what if this is like an Erica rebirth? What if
yeah,
this was her moment?
and here's what's interesting about Rachel. So you bring up Erica, which, is a fair example until you actually look at the stats. She's the 5th most confessionals on this season. She has the
Who?
same amount as
Erica?
Stu. Yeah, no,
Oh,
Rachel.
oh, Rachel does. Wow.
She has more than Saul,
Alright, maybe
more
she know
than
what I picked.
Genevieve, more than Sierra, more than Kyle, more than Caroline. She has the same amount as Sue. She's only behind Teeny, Gabe, Andy, and Sam.
Damn, okay. Well, they keep voting out the camera hogs, I guess. I don't know.
But isn't that
Room.
crazy? Like, and I think that speaks to how well they've edited this season and why it seems so hard to figure out who the winner of this season is going to be. It's
Yeah.
because they've done a really even good job with this season. There's only 3 people remaining in the game who have an episode without a confessional. I don't know if we've ever made it this far into the game with that. And so
Hmm.
on this entire season, there
Yeah.
have been 4, just 4, 0 confessional episodes. That's
Wow.
it. 4. That's insane. I mean, you go look at the premiere of Island of the Idols. I think there
Right.
are already 4.
And I know
Like,
Sue didn't get anything this episode, but I'm also
yeah.
like, I kind of knew where Sue was at. I don't know. It's like I guess I could have gotten something from Sue. I don't always need a confessional from literally everybody all the
It's
time.
rough
It's
that
not.
she didn't in
It
this
is
episode.
kind of gorgeous. It's kind of wild, to be honest. Like, what was that? Of all the people, it's Tiana's going, and Sue's got nothing. They got nothing
And that
from
felt
her,
like a big part of her storyline.
and she's got an idol in her pocket that
No.
never came up. Wild stuff. Anyway, editors are going crazy over there. But
Having a field day. But anyway,
yeah, like you think Sue's gonna win? Watch this.
I know, and
I'll
that's
make
what
her
I'm
edit
saying.
disappear.
Since Erica won, and I keep bringing this up, and people are probably so tired of me saying it, but I don't care. Since Erica won, the winner of every season has had a confessional in every single episode.
Ooh, interesting stat. Didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
So
Sue is here to change it up.
Sue, Kyle, and Genevieve. Those are the three
Yeah.
remaining who didn't have one. And that's why I can't put Genevieve at the top, which people are giving me a hard time for. I still think Genevieve's playing a great game, but I thought
You can put her
Omer
at the
was
top
the
for your
best
power
mind.
rankings.
What was that?
You said for your power rankings, you can't put Jen at the top.
Well, I can't put her at the top as like who I think is going to win this season. Because even though I think she's playing a great game, I look at that and say, "Ooh, I don't think so." And I think Omer. I said during season 42, Omer had the best mind for New School Survivor. Look what place he finished.
Yeah.
So it happens.
To be fair, they should have gotten. They should have both been in that finale. Him and Lindsay. Like that was what a terrible thought not to play that idol. Anyway, the amulet.
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry, that's a different season, but like, yeah. Anyway.
Whoops.
So,
all right. You want to rank?
I'm down to rank something. I usually do it every week. So I'm down to do it.
All right, let's do it. So we're gonna go 1 to 15 or 1 to 15. What the hell? This season's almost over. Not starting. 1 to 11. Yeah. 1 being the safest. 11 will be who you think is going home this week. It does look like we are just going to get a normal 11-person tribal council. Somebody's going to be voted out of the game. To update people on advantages, Sue has an idol. That's it. Does. That's the only advantage that I remember in this game right now. I know there's no other idols. Are there any other? I don't think there's any steal votes or anything. Chat, help me out, but I don't think there's anything else.
Yeah. I mean, I try not to focus too much on them, but I don't think there are off the top of my head. I mean, the idols just disappeared. They did the one-offs and then nothing else came. I was really surprised. I was like, huh. And then they did the whole Genevieve found that advantage, but they didn't really care to find it. And I'm like,
yeah,
all right, go cast. Like, you don't need island toys or trinkets to succeed.
We can't follow it anyway.
It's hard to follow, and honestly, it doesn't really make the show any better. I think one idol is good, but you don't need any more than that. And the proof is in the pudding, guys. And Jeff, he's heard this 1,000 times, so it's not like it matters. But he doesn't like to go back to the same water well. He likes to mix it up. So
although he's been like going back to the same water well on some things nonstop,
right? Yeah. I don't think there's anything else that we have to keep track of, which is nice. So you just have to pay attention to people's relationships and their social threat and their, I guess, how good are they at challenges? Although at this point in the season, it's too early to really worry about that, I think. But
so fun fact.
Again, yeah.
Kyle is the only person to win individual immunity on this season, despite finishing 3rd in the last challenge.
Can I also say Kyle's at the bottom of my power rankings?
No, don't spoil. Oh, he's already given us this. Wait, hold on. Pretend you guys didn't hear that. Jayburn Aquatic, thank you for the super chat.
What did I do wrong?
Win. Hashtag the Saul Survivor or Teeny or Kyle. So I like that. You guys didn't hear what Peridiam said. He didn't say that. It didn't happen. Yeah, but okay. We'll get into that. Let's wait a little bit.
Right. So, okay, I meant to say Kyle is actually at the top of my power rankings, but
Do you think he's the safest?
I mean, he's going to win all the immunities. Like he's Mike Holloway. You can't vote him out.
You can't vote him out.
Unless Aaron. Oh, they did flash to the Black Widow Brigade though. So what if
they did? Hey, Eric Reichenbach got his yearly. Don't forget this poor guy when he was 23, 24 years old did something.
I've made montages of them every single time that they have flashed to that instance, and it's like 10 times at this point, and now there's 11.
Oh my God.
They just are like, stop, he's already dead. Stop it. But he still watches. I know he's on Reddit, so
I love Eric, man. Eric's one of the best in the community. He was always great. He does the Dabu Doodles, and that's really fun. And I've had him on the podcast a couple times. He was always a great conversation. And yeah, I mean, it's just a shame that what's funny to me with Eric is I'm pretty sure, and somebody could fact check me on this, but of everybody who's ever played the game more than once, I think he has a top 5 average placement.
Yeah, it makes like fifth place.
No, I mean like top 5 in the entire community. So like Natalie Anderson is first because she finished first and second.
Yeah.
Michelle is second because she finished first and third. Pretty sure Eric is in the top 5.
Right. No, that's what I thought. I was like,
Oh,
he's
yeah.
fifth and fifth, so
Crazy.
he's fifth. So he's got average of 5, but like most players have played like the big names have done really well a couple times, but they've also done terrible a couple
Yeah,
times.
Tony
Like,
has a terrible one in there. Sandra
right.
has 2 bad ones.
Sandra, Parvati, Rob, all of
Yeah.
them.
But what's so funny is all he's remembered for is this. And he's one of the, I mean, I truly believe he's one of the best players to ever play Survivor. He's made a stupid move. If he doesn't make that move, he wins Micronesia. That's not what this podcast is about, but it's just so funny.
He probably does.
Killed for this.
He just has to win all those immunities, which I think is probably likely.
He probably does. And he's not taking Sari with him. He's not stupid. Although in that moment, maybe he would have.
I know it's funny you say that, but he did also give up immunity.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think he'd take Sari with him, though. I don't think that happened.
No, I think he wanted to take Amanda.
Yeah, I think he beats Amanda,
which is honestly not a bad read of those of the 4 of them who's left. So
yeah. Anyway,
who
do you think is the safest this week? Who's not going home? Who's your number 1?
Who's not going home at this final 11? Looking at the names over here, I'm gonna say, you know what? Is this like who we're saying is at the top of the power ranking? Or
no way they go home. No, it's not. So it's not the power ranking.
No way they go.
No way they go home this week. You're only looking at this week.
Okay, I'll say Teeny. I think Teeny is in an incredibly safe spot. Nobody talks about Teeny. I haven't heard anyone talk about her, and I don't know. I'm like, when's Teeny going? Maybe not for like a while. I think Teeny's locked for the finale, probably.
Yeah,
maybe the Omer spot, but like it feels. I think Teeny's safe. There's one other name I was thinking that I almost said, but I think I'll say Teeny.
Okay. Yeah, I think that there are 3 people that are unbelievably safe right now, and I think they all fit the same archetype. I think that I think they could make the final 6, all of them.
Is Teeny one of them?
Teeny is one of them, but she's not my number 1.
Okay.
I actually have Caroline as my number 1.
I was thinking Caroline. I could see it.
Yeah, and my reason for putting Caroline at number 1 over Teeny is just because like Caroline just went to that tribal council. They pretended that she was an actual consideration to be voted out. Everybody went to bat for her. We didn't even have to hear from Sue to say, I'm not voting out Caroline. That's how obvious it was that Caroline was not going to go home. Caroline was totally safe the entire time. Yeah. And so Caroline has had her finger on the pulse. She's been shown as right. And I keep on coming back to this. She is not, this is an electric cast right now. Like there are a lot of people who are huge personalities. Like Rome had all those confessionals. Sam had the crazy thing early on. Andy's been all over the place. Caroline's personality is very normal, similar to Genevieve. But what have they made sure to do with Caroline? They've made sure to give her a damn confessional in every episode. And if she's not going to the final 3, then why are they doing that? I just feel like she's in an absolutely golden spot. And it's more than just confessionals. I think she's playing an incredibly, incredibly strong game. She's got her finger on the pulse. And we know that Gabe and Sue would go to bat for her. And I'm going to be honest with you. I'm pretty sure at this point, Rachel's going to end up going to bat for her. And that's where I'm going to start to bleed into this made-up alliance that I'm going to pretend is going to happen in the future here. So I will say that. And I have Teeny at 2. So really not any different from what you have. I just think that Caroline's a little bit safer than Teeny.
Yeah. I would say Caroline is up there for me, top 3. There's one other person who I would say that I considered as safe. I would have said Genevieve.
Okay.
I don't see where Genevieve gets targeted coming up next episode, at least next episode. Like who is throwing her name out there? I don't know. I just never seen anyone bring her up as a target, as a threat. And I don't think that that's not because she isn't. It's just that it's not relevant right now. And I think that she's got at least another couple episodes in her before her. I don't know. I want to say threat level, but like before that starts to go on the rise, because I think that it will come up. But I don't know.
I think she's gonna be somebody who either goes like first boot of the merge or not the merge, the first boot of the finale. The first boot of the finale.
Yeah, I can see that
right before the finale, because I feel like you're right. Like Andy, Genevieve, Teeny, Saul. That seems legit right now. Like that seems like
that's like the Avengers assembling. I'm like looking forward to Saul's secret agents. Did you see the clip for next episode?
I didn't. I saw people post it, but I didn't watch it. I
Yeah,
saw
the
literally when I
SSA
saw
is
it was
Saul's secret agents alliance that Saul wants to put together. Get Andy, get Genevieve. I think they'll grab Teeny. I think they'll grab probably maybe Rachel because they want to go against Sam. They want to go against Sierra. Get rid of the Tukus. So maybe wrapping Caroline with the women's alliance angle. Yeah, looks pretty juicy. I think so. I'm just like, Genevieve is in that fold. I don't really see her going. I don't know how the target will shift to her,
Mhm.
especially with Rome gone. Like her threat is there's just too small.
I agree with that, and I actually have Rachel at 3. So this is where I go.
Rachel, yes,
So I went Caroline, Teeny, Rachel. I feel like those 3 right now are playing strong games, and I feel like they've all gotten through the moment that could have potentially been their danger moment.
mm,
Meaning Rachel survived last tribal council. Caroline also survived last tribal council. That might have been her biggest danger moment. And I think Teeny with the Keyshawn boot, the fact that Keyshawn went home and Teeny was
yeah,
left out of
it could have
that,
been her. Yeah,
but it wasn't Teeny. And now Teeny advances, and now Teeny's in a situation where all of a sudden people want to keep playing with Teeny. And it seems
yeah,
like there's a lot of opportunities. And I keep going back to this, and this is why I have these 3. Keep going back to that damn Survivor Social
heck,
Hour scene.
okay,
And they literally showed these people talking. Or at least I know Caroline and Rachel were talking. Teeny was there too, right? I
yeah,
think
sure.
they showed all 3 of them having a conversation. I'm sitting there going, there's something that's going to come of this. Like there just is something that's going to come of this. It's going to happen. So maybe I'm looking too much into that, but
No, I
also
don't think so.
if you're sitting here also and you're going to get ready to vote somebody out, Teeny is the least threatening, one of the least threatening people there from any situation other than social. But if you like somebody enough, that's why they're so dangerous, is because they're social.
Right.
Rachel is now toothless, and she's the most useful out of everybody from yellow. And then Caroline is definitely the least threatening out of anybody from blue. They're going to, if they want to go for a Tuku, Gabe and Kyle can't both win immunity. So vote one of them out.
Yeah, I agree. Yep. Yeah, I have Rachel up there as well. Safe one. Another safe one. All the women.
Can I
They're
click
coming
this up real
together.
quick? Can we
Sure.
talk about Teeny saying we're going to vote for a winner and the camera pans to Genevieve? You reading into that?
Yeah, I saw that this episode. I saw it on the rewatch. Hey, I'm here for it. I'm rooting for Genevieve. I really like her. Which is not what I expected to say after the first 3 episodes, but hey, I am here for it. I would love to have that whole Natalie White turnaround. Natalie White, Invisible episodes 1 through 3,
Mhm.
breakout episode 4. Let's go. Like, absolutely.
Invisible
Let's have that.
episodes 5 through 12.
And just like, she's there, she's present, she's relevant, she's in the fold. I like what she's saying. She got the biggest smile in the cast, which doesn't hurt. I'm here for it. And I think that she's safe. I think that she's making allies in all the right places at the right times. Feels like the momentum is going into Andy's corner. And I think that the outer players on the fringe are coming together. And I think that even though she hasn't really been that player in a way, she had Rome, and I guess she was sort of on the outs at the beginning. Like, she is coming into it, making friends with Andy. Andy's going to get Saul. Saul's there. They're going to come together. They're talking about working together. I think that this could be I think we're looking at like what looks like the final 6, final 7. We're looking at like none of these people are going in the next 3, 4 boots.
The Tukus, Gabe and Kyle feel like they're in a lot of trouble. And we'll talk about that in a little because I don't want to spoil the power.
It almost feels like we can tell which batch of people are going.
Yeah.
In like the next like 4
Yeah.
boots.
Sam and Sierra, Gabe
While
and Kyle.
circling the
feel like
same
they're in trouble.
people.
But I do feel like Sam or Sierra could survive longer. Gabe and Kyle, I'm not feeling too good about either one of
No,
their
I'm not.
chances right now. But do you take requests for videos?
Yeah, all the time.
Can you do a video about what purple means and why Genevieve getting 3 confessionals in 3 episodes is not purple?
I have done that. I did that 5 years ago.
Okay.
I got Kelly Purple on it. Purple Kelly with Milk Your Own Milk.
Can
To be fair, it's outdated. It's an outdated video.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Can you update it so people know? Because
I can talk because I know when I
amount of
made it, it was
people-
more like, hey, I'm new to the scene. Let me talk about this bizarre concept.
Mhm.
I did make that video, and I've thought about like updating old videos from like 5, 7 years ago. That is definitely one because I know it gets overused a lot, which I
So
expect
much.
to happen in the vernacular. Like, people don't really fully get what it means to be purple. It's not just like, oh, they got ignored for a couple of episodes, now they're purple. That's not really, like, it could be purple, but you really need a lot of at time where they're gone to consider it to be at all purple.
There were literal episodes of Survivor Samoa, Nicaragua, where you did not see purple
Yeah,
people.
like
Like you literally didn't even see her on the mat.
well, she got like 4 confessionals in the entire season, and
And
she
she
made like
got
11
one in the
episodes.
first 8 or 9 or something like that.
Yeah, Chelsea Townsend, I've talked about. I recently tweeted about her being, somebody was like, she had like 3 confessionals. Like, she has the worst track record of
Yeah.
anyone in the history of Survivor. But yeah, it gets overused. It's an overused term, unfortunately. It's fine. It's whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I just like to people like to overuse it, and
they do.
I need
I mean, this
people in the
this has been a
community.
thing in the Big Brother community for a long time about how do you define the term backdoor to strategy,
Mm,
and it originated. It had a different definition. People changed it to make it more convenient, but like, there's a lot of. I made a video about that, or the term floater. People have floaters, and they're like just
mhm.
people that are along for the ride. But there's actually a strategy called floating. I've made videos about it 5 years ago, and I probably could update it with the purple one too, because we've had a handful of purple players like in the
Yeah.
last 7, 10 seasons. So
Now
yeah,
you know what
we'll
I
do it.
want. All
Okay.
right, so you have Teeny at 1, you have Genevieve at 2. Who do you have third safest?
Third safest, Rachel,
Okay.
which is weird because she was like the least safe this episode that we're just covering. But I agree with what you said about her. I'm like, I think that she is a little bit toothless. People are gonna view her as somebody who's like, she's clearly viewed as strongly. I almost want to get Caroline and Rachel on the same page because I think that they could be
Mhm.
super lethal. But Caroline did remark that Rachel is like the best player left in the group, maybe in the whole season. And I'm like, oh man, that's great for Caroline, but I'm not sure how
Mhm.
Rachel is gonna have to deal with that at some point. I think that those two could become, strangely enough, like the biggest targets for each other. Like they need to get each other out more than anything else. But I was like, I think Rachel is in a good spot. The whole yellow gata is turning on each other, but she's not really in that. And she's more of like in the whole women's alliance part of it that could come together. And I think it very well could. I think it might actually come together sooner than later. Like they don't just flash to it. I think that it will actually, because looking at I'm looking at the whole board here of the spread of
Yeah.
players, and I'm like, this really feels like we're talking about the same people going soon. And I'm like, I think we're gonna get left with some really strong women.
We're talking
So,
about the women
and I
more.
think Rachel's in the thick
What's
of it.
funny is the top 3 confessional getters on the season are Sam, Andy, and Gabe. But
Right. Yeah, I know.
Kyle and Saul, I feel like I know less, and I feel like the other women are really taking. I mean, I know Saul at this point. I do know Kyle, but I'm just saying, like, I feel like those 2 are getting so many confessionals. And
Yeah.
then the women kind of dominate the rest of it. So I know they're not at
Right.
the top, but also like Sam had a 16 episode confessional. If you remove that and give him 3 confessionals, he
Mm,
barely has more than Rachel or Sue. It's just
right.
that one episode was absolutely insane. Gabe had the premiere, and then Andy had the first 2 episodes. Like the edits haven't been that crazy.
No, they've been pretty good. I think they've
Yeah,
been very just spread even throughout the whole cast. I feel like nobody's really, definitely no purple players. There's no
definitely
purple
no
players.
purple players.
But yeah, I had Rachel in I think third and
Yeah,
Caroline fourth for
Caroline
safest. So
Fourth.
it's like the same basically as you. It's like these intelligent, observant women who I think are in they're hanging out. They've got people in front of them that are clearly targets that are getting talked about going. And I just feel like these 4 women, if not a few others, even maybe even Sue, you could talk about a little bit. Like I don't know if Sue's going anywhere anytime soon.
I have Sue as my 4. I don't think she's
Right,
going.
like, who's targeting Sue? I don't see it happening.
And she has an
Not
idol, so if they are going to target her, they're probably going to be pretty
they're
obvious
targeting
with it.
Caroline, they're targeting Gabe, they're targeting Kyle. If you're going
Mhm.
for a blue player, I think Sue is at the bottom as far as people getting voted out, so
I agree. Yeah, so that's why I have her at number 4. I think that Sue, with her idol and with her alliances, like again, she does have people going to bat for her. Now, whether
yeah.
that means she can win, I don't think she can. But I do
Mm.
think that there are people who want to keep Sue in the game, whether that's
Now is
because they
that
think
because she got
or
0
not.
confessionals? You don't think
What,
she
that I
can
don't think she
win?
can win? No, no, no.
Yeah,
I didn't think she could win before that. I did not. I
okay.
don't see the Sue winner edit. Haven't seen it from day
You
one. I
don't
feel like they were
okay.
showing her being wrong a lot.
I
When
did yeah.
when she had the paint on her, they
Mm,
showed her looking wrong, and then Tiana figures it out, and Tiana wasn't getting good at it. So somebody who figures you out who's not getting shown positively,
I
that
can see
normally
it.
means you're not positive either. And then Caroline goes over to her and says, "I'm so happy you have the idol," whatever, and she tries to play it off, and it just didn't work. To me, I mean,
Mm,
Sue is one of those people. you put Sue on your season, she is going to get an insane amount of confessionals. She's going to get great screen time because she's amazing.
Yeah.
But that doesn't necessarily mean that means she's going to win. And so for
Okay.
me, I haven't had Sue. I think for my patrons a couple of weeks ago, I tried to do this like 5-5-5, of contenders, pretenders, and they have no shot. I had her in the no shot category at Final 15.
Wow. Okay. I can't relate. I think I had her in my top 4 contenders.
I know. I think you told me. I just
Yeah.
don't see it.
I don't know.
But
It's tough.
crazier things have happened.
Crazier things have happened, so I'm willing to throw a Hail Mary. I
Mm-hmm.
was at the Commanders game. I don't know if you follow that, but like when they threw the Hail Mary against
Were you actually at that game?
I was actually at the game, and I was sitting there, and I was like, head in my hands, just like, this is painful. We should have crushed them, and then it's like, hey, we won.
This is don't gamble. I only play with fake money, air quotes. Jaden Daniels, offensive rookie of the year, Commanders to make the playoffs, Bears under 8.5 wins. That Hail Mary set everything up very nicely. Dude, I follow that. I was sweating that game so bad, and when he completed that pass, I was happier than any Commanders fan. That's all I'm going to say.
Oh, I don't know. I was in a booth with a bunch of them, and they were going crazy. So, but yeah, maybe.
I was on the airplane flying back. We were flying Southwest yesterday, so they have live TV. So I'm watching the Lions game because we were flying back during them playing Green Bay, and I'm going crazy. My wife's passed out next to me. The poor lady who's sitting in the aisle probably thinks I'm psycho. I was like getting so amped because they're beating the crap out of them. It's hard to stay calm when things are going good for your team. 7-2, 7-1. Look at us.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, damn, what if this is like the NFC Championship game? I'd be here for it.
I'd be here for it too, because that means the Lions are going to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I know. I was gonna say also, I'm a fan of the Commanders, but I do think the Lions are. Well, I would take them every day of the week. So
yeah, I'll tell you what though, Jaden Daniels is fun to watch. I know that's not what people are here for right now.
I know nobody's here for it, but he is so fun to watch. Yeah, anyway,
he is. And plus, Gabe's over here. People are pulling up workaholics quotes from him on Twitter from like 10 years ago, calling him sexist and stuff. And his response is, "Ravens are going to win by more than 9.5."
That was his response. What?
That was pretty much all he said, because he was like, if you're going to send me death threats over workaholics quotes from 10 years ago, here's what I say to you: go bet on the Ravens to win by 9.5.
Right. Okay.
What it was. I don't blame him, dude. It's crazy how people will go back and fish for you.
Oh, I've never had anything pulled up, but like, yeah, you just get all kinds of. I've had a myriad. I've been doing this for 7 years, and YouTube, you'll see all kinds of stuff, and it's just like, okay, I don't know what to do with that, but I will shadow ban you, I guess. But you get all kinds of weird stuff. I've had death threats. All I do is rank people on Survivor. It's like, what? Yeah, the internet's wild.
People are out of their minds. Zach says this Jaden Daniels guy is a serious purple out of this season. I don't know if he's gotten a confessional. That is a fact.
I mean, I would take Jaden Daniels on Survivor 48, Survivor 49, put him on there.
Put him on 49 if they're gonna. Well, whenever they want to film in the middle of the season, put him on that.
Although
in the NFL season, that's what I need.
Yeah.
All right, back to Survivor rankings. Who you have at 5? I had you down, Teeny, Genevieve.
So Rachel. We're talking about safest, but like, is that the same as power rankings?
No, so we do power rankings for the week. Like, that's essentially what we're doing. It's just power rankings for the week more than like who's gonna win. I'll ask you who you think is gonna win and stuff at the end, but this is pretty much what we do.
Who do I? Because like I didn't rank him. So who do I have most safe? Like I would take the 4. Sue. I think, did I say Sue is number 4 or was she number 5?
No, you had Carolyn at 4.
Yeah, I have Sue at 5.
Okay.
Like I don't think she could easily be number 1 for.
But where would you put? So now, if you were ranking this in terms of like winner capability and stuff, where would you rank her then?
Wow. Oh gosh. So it's like I view power ranking as like going into the week. How much power do they have, or how many options do they have? How much power do they wield versus their winner chances is not the same necessarily. You can be lethal like Russell, but it doesn't mean I think you're going to win the show. Versus somebody like Sue, I think has a lot of options and could do a lot. She's got an idol, she's got allies, she's got shields. She's not a huge target. So I'm like, she actually does have a lot going on. She's a Swiss Army knife of like what she could do with her game.
Yeah.
Do I think she's gonna win? Honestly, not as high after last week. So I'm like, Sue, as like, not to get too deep into the power rankings, but she's pretty high for me. But I don't think she's very high as the winner. Like, I don't think she's gonna win the show. So it's a weird scale of winner contender, not really that high, but what she's got in her arsenal, there's a lot going on, and I think she does wield a lot of power, at least from what we're seeing. So
I feel that. I could see that because she is in an alliance now. If that alliance starts at this stage, she's got nothing.
So
but
it could
she's
be on the
in
opposite, the
line.
wrong side of the numbers. I do think like it's not looking great for Tuku, but if we're just talking about going into next week, going into the final 11, I'm like, I mean, you said it yourself, Gabe and Kyle, they can't both win immunity. Well, actually,
Yeah.
there's supposed to be two necklaces, but I think it's probably guy and girl necklace.
Yeah, that seems to be what they do.
So
And
they can't both win the guy necklace immunity.
yeah.
So one of them is going to get targeted. I
And
think that's what's happening.
before I throw that, Jay Burn Aquatics, if a woman wins this season, excluding Teeny, I'll send the specialist 60 super chat dollars postseason. I'm not mad about that. I mean, everybody remember this. That's how confident I am. It'll be Saul, Kyle, or Teeny. We can get into that a little bit, but I do want to ask if they're going to have a man and a woman win, who do you think wins the woman's side of things?
For the immunity necklace?
Yeah.
I think they did tease what the challenge. Maybe they didn't. I don't know. I'm gonna say I look good like Genevieve could. I don't think I'd bet on Sue. Teeny's been decent. I could see Teeny. Sierra, I was like, there's a pretty athletic women. I could say Sierra, it depends. They had the one with Kyle last week, and
Genevieve and Teeny beat them.
Genevieve and Teeny hung out, and they were in the top 2. So it's like those are the kind of challenges we're getting in the early merge for individual immunity. It's probably going to be something like that. I think those are some decent bets. Jen, Teeny. I don't know. Yeah.
If Sierra wins, Sam is probably screwed this week.
Yeah, I think Sam's also under fire. I'm looking at like Kyle, Gabe, Sam, like one of those 3. I think one of those 3 is going home.
Yeah. I mean, so what do I have? So I'm at 5. At 5, I have Andy. I put Andy this high, and I put him higher than Genevieve just for the fact of Yellow doesn't know that he's willing to flip on them, and I feel like Genevieve and Saul have been playing everything super close to the chest to the point that they're not going to go and be like, Andy wants to get rid of you, because Andy's going to be like, no, they said, Sam, that you threw my name out there. That's what they said, and I think that Andy has a good defense there. So I do think that Andy's a little bit safer. I think he fits into more people's alliances. But Wendell kept making a great point at the event we were at. He said, we might be loving Andy as an edit, but boots on the ground, if you're on the island, you're not viewing Andy probably as somebody who can win the game. You're probably viewing Andy as somebody who could go deep, but you're not worried about him beating you at Final Tribal Council, boots on the ground. And I think that's where there's a disconnect. It's almost like Carolyn, right? I thought Carolyn was going to get 3 or 4 votes at the finale of 44 just because of the way she was edited and how people were talking about her. And then Franny doesn't even vote for her to win after everything Franny said so positively. And I feel like that's where Andy might be at right now, where even though he's recovered and he's doing things, he's telling us how confident and how good he's playing. But I don't know if the people on the island are necessarily going to feel the same way.
Yeah. There's this small cracks here and there. It's tough to read exactly how they're going to feel. And like, if Andy gets to the final 3, what does that journey look like? Like that's a story. And can he sell it? I honestly don't know if Andy can sell that though very well. Like, there's a huge component of Survivor that is very irrelevant for most of the season, except at the final 3 or the final 2. And that's your ability to sell yourself. You have to be a good sales guy. Like Chris Underwood did it really well, and he had nothing to talk about. You have to be really good at giving an elevator pitch, or in this case, it's like 2 to 3 hour tribal, but like you have to be able to sell yourself incredibly well. And sometimes I don't know about Andy's ability to do that. And I do take that into account when I look at who could win this season. Like, I don't know if Sue could do it very well.
Yeah.
Mike on Survivor 42 was in the final 3, lost to Marianne because Marianne sold herself way better.
Yeah.
Or you could do the opposite, where you're actually really bad at it, like Cassidy, actively hurting yourself and making your game look worse in some ways. Some people shake their heads and go, what was that? No, it doesn't line up. So Andy is that character where I'm like, I do think he's safe. I have him in the middle. He's also, I'd say, after one other player in my safety rankings, but I don't know if he's a strong winner contender. I don't have him I don't think he's going to win the season. I didn't think he was going to win the season a month ago. So still,
and you say safety rankings. It's probably a better term for what we do, but there's no SEO on safety rankings, unfortunately. That doesn't work. So who do you have? So who do you have at 6? Then I'm assuming you're gonna have Andy at 7, right?
Yeah, I have Saul.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't see Saul getting touched right now. Like, he's looking pretty. I'm rooting for him. He's got his secret agents, coming out of the woodworks. I feel good about Saul. So I don't know. It could happen. He's in the middle. There's only 11 people, so he's technically the bottom half, or right in the middle. Could swing against him, I guess. But Rome's gone. Who's really throwing Saul out there over again these bottom feeders? There's like a good 4 to 5 names that I'm just sitting there like one of these players has to go.
Yeah.
Certainly next week.
We have the same bottom four because I have Genevieve at 6 and then I have Saul at 7. The reason I have Saul at 7 and not higher, they made
Mhm.
all the right decisions last week. But what concerns me with Saul is how are people going to react if they find out about this advantage? Is he going to tell people
They
the
just won't.
advantage? Are people going to be happy? Like, I don't know how it's going to play out, though. I kind of feel like what you're saying is right. But also, this would be a way to build a relationship with Rachel if you feel he needs to. But he's
Yeah,
also
it's
probably better
tough.
off to try to sit on this until final 3 and then say, I was the one who did
I
that.
mean, it's like
I don't know.
I agree with you, but I'm like, maybe he just should be good enough that he doesn't need to like be like, look, I saved you. It's more just like, yo, we need to go to the end. Look at us, like let's do this. I don't know. I'm just like, you don't, because that is a big ace up your sleeve that only you have.
Yeah.
Nobody else has that story. Nobody else has that footnote. So just to give that away is only ammunition to get yourself voted out. You need to be able to build a relationship with them regardless. Like you imagine you didn't have this. What are you doing with Rachel if she survives? You
Yeah.
got to form a relationship with her anyway, if she's there, which she is. You happen to save her, you've got that. And I guess you want to be like, I just feel like the better player won't need to take advantage of that right now. They'll save
Mhm.
it because it'll otherwise just put them in like a unique category of like, you saved my life. I can't go to the end with you. I can't take you, Saul.
Yeah.
Like you saved her. She got saved by him, so she'll never be able to go to the final 3 with him. And she'll always like I don't know. So I hope he doesn't. I hope he keeps it a secret, and I'm banking on that he will. But we'll see.
Yeah, I feel like that's a great analysis of that. Like he should be able to not have to tell people and let that be something that circulates around. And
Yeah,
maybe go tell Genevieve if you feel like, oh, she's the closest. But honestly, at this point, Saul, who are you the closest with? I'd hold out on this information. I'd sit
yeah,
on it. I wouldn't say anything.
yep, yeah. I would keep it to himself and pull it out. It's something you say at Final Tribal, or
Hmm.
maybe later in the game if you need Rachel around. It sounds like Rachel will be sticking around for a little bit, so maybe use that, leverage it at the right time. You don't need to just like throw it out there willy nilly right after. Like that's what I tend to view it as. Like if you can hold information, you are always going to be usually a better player than anyone who just has to start telling
Yeah.
people what's going on. You keep information to yourself, pocket it. You don't keep all information, but you keep that kind of stuff that will make you only look. It'll make you look better, but you won't. You don't want to look better at the final 11. You want
Yeah.
to look better at the final 3.
And that's right. That's the mistake that Emily made, right? She did that at
Maybe
final
she did with
7.
Bruce.
Yeah, with Bruce, where she said, I want to make sure I get the credit for this. We did it a week early because then everybody said, see
Yeah,
you later. We don't need
and
you anymore.
she said she regretted that, and
Yeah.
that was a big mistake. So
Yep. Um, okay.
okay,
So we have the same bottom 4.
we
We
do.
got we got Gabe, we got Kyle, we have Sierra, and we have Sam.
Yep.
Who are you putting at 8? Who are you putting as your safest of that?
Sierra.
Sierra. Okay.
And it's partially because, I mean, I guess if Sam wins immunity, she will be in trouble.
Hmm.
But I think Sam's a bigger threat. I think Sam is, just he's got more presence on the island. And I think that, I guess if there's a women's alliance and they do want to target somebody, if that does end up having legs, I think Sarah will be a little more protected.
Hmm.
But she has also been like set up to be more of an antagonist to Andy. So I wonder what that'll look like.
What scares me about Sierra is that I don't feel like Sierra has gotten a lot and she's been so important to the story. Like she's gotten confessionals in every episode. That's not what I'm talking about. I just
That's
mean like
true.
I don't feel like I know her on a personal level
Yet.
the way I know some of these other players, which is what has me concerned. Like, is this going to be the week where Sam wins immunity and Andy pulls the blind side on Sierra and Sierra ends up getting sent packing?
I
I
know,
could
worst
see that
case scenario.
happening based on what we've seen between
Me
those
too.
two so far this season.
Yep. Yeah, I was just saying, like, I could see Sam winning immunity, and then all of a sudden Sierra
Hmm.
somehow is just getting picked off. I'm like, the Women's Alliance is picking off women. That's what is usually going on.
Yeah.
That's usually what happens if you pay attention to this. The Women's Alliance, the history of Women's Alliances, especially on Big Brother, they seemingly get the other women out. Whoops.
Yeah.
So like that wouldn't fully surprise me, but also I don't know. Just looking at it like bird's eye view, I'm like, Sam's a bigger threat on paper, and
Mhm.
he is the one who's getting really thrown under the bus for that merge reward that we saw last week,
Yeah.
where Sue was like, "Well, how about what about Andy?" And then Sam was like, yeah, we could lose Andy, if it comes to
Yeah.
it. And it's like, it wasn't necessarily Sam who was like, let's get Andy out, but he is getting all the flack. And they reminded us of that in this episode. That was a huge point. And it was really Andy versus Sam. And Sam doesn't realize it's almost giving like Natalie Anderson versus John a little.
Yeah.
And I'm like, if Sierra's collateral damage, but I feel like just on paper, I'm going to say Sierra's more likely to survive. It would take a worst case scenario for that, I think. I think maybe they split the vote and then Sierra goes. I don't know.
To me, so I have Kyle at 8. I have him as the safest of this group of 4. And my reason is, even though he's won 2 immunities, he didn't actually win the last one. And the first one, he only went against half the cast. Right. So I don't feel like people are really viewing him as a challenge threat right now. He's so quiet and he's not confrontational that I think that's going to help him. I think that if they want to go after a Tuku, they're probably going to go after Gabe.
Yeah.
And Gabe so far hasn't been great in the challenges, individually at least. So I feel like we've only really seen him once, but still, I'm just saying, like, he hasn't been great. And I feel like Kyle's proved himself more. So I give Kyle a little bit of the edge there, because Gabe would have to win immunity for Kyle to be in any type of danger. And I think right now what we got set up last week is a Blue's probably not going to go home this week anyway.
You don't think so? You don't think
I'm
so?
back and forth, man. I really am. I'm back and forth. I'm literally rearranging. So we do this on Real TV Fantasy. And so it's just like, you can just move them up and down. You don't have to type in. And I've just been moving around these bottom 4 like crazy, trying to find the best spot to put them in. And every time I make a point, I feel like it adjusts my rankings.
Okay. Yeah, I'm sort of in this 50-50 where I'm like, it's either going to be the storyline of Sierra and Sam getting railroaded by Andy, and that's where we're going, or the Tuku all of a sudden have this, like, they are the big threat, and maybe Sam wins immunity, and then suddenly you're looking at like Gabe going. I don't know. Maybe the women don't want to vote Sierra. Yeah, I'm feeling like a yellow Sierra Sam boot is coming up, and I honestly feel like it is Sam if it's anyone, but I'm still looking at like Gabe and Kyle, and I'm like, I don't know where they're going. I feel like their storylines are coming to them getting voted out sooner than later. So
yeah,
safety wise, those are the bottom 3, but.
And that's what's crazy about this, right? When you're trying to rank them, actually say which one do you think is higher than the other? Like, these 4 to me all have pretty much an equal chance of going home. But if I have to pick here, I'm going to put Sam at 9. I'm going to put Sierra at 10, and I'm going to put Gabe at 11.
Interesting. Okay.
And I'm going to say Sierra is in more danger than Sam because we got to know Sam so well. And this is a perfect time for him to go home. Like,
that's a very meta-analysis, isn't it?
It is a meta-analysis, but
he got 16 confessional. That's a lot.
He did. He got 16 in one episode. But here's the thing. If you go and then you turn and you look at Sierra, she's got nothing but 2s and 1 6. Everything else is 2. It's so weird. And I feel like Sierra, on a personal level, as a viewer, what do I really know about Sierra?
She's against Andy.
Yeah, I don't really feel like I know her on a personal level. I know Sam on a personal level. And honestly,
he's a pineapple guy.
Why I'm putting Gabe at the bottom, he is a pineapple guy. That's huge. The reason I'm putting Gabe at the bottom instead of Kyle, I don't know Gabe personally either. I know Kyle better than I know Gabe. Gabe has way more confessionals, but Gabe has been strategy. I'm going to go find an idol. I'm talking to Caroline, whatever.
I'm going to manipulate these tools.
Yeah, I don't know Gabe. I know Kyle. I know Kyle's background. We've seen it. I don't know Gabe.
That's fair. Yeah, I'm like, if we're on power, I said, Kyle maybe at the bottom, but that's more just like, he doesn't have much going on. He doesn't have allies. Kyle is kind of like, if a Tuku, if a Blue Tribe member is getting sacrificed, his name is definitely going out first from all the other Blues probably. I don't know if they would rather. I think Caroline and Sue would rather keep Gabe than Kyle. So I'm like, even amongst his own tribe mates, he's at the bottom. And I also think like Tuku is also looking to be at the bottom. So he's at the bottom of the bottom. But I also think Gabe is probably the correct person who would get voted out between the two of them. So like my least save was also, I would say Gabe. But if we're looking at who has the more power in their pocket, I don't know if I would say Gabe is worse than Kyle in that case.
So give me your 9 through 11 now that you've talked yourself in circles. You got to give
me Sam is after Sierra.
Okay.
I think he's just a little, I don't think he's super safe. All these people could be voted out at this point. Yeah, and then I'll say Kyle and then Gabe.
Cool. So we have the same last person.
Yeah, as far as safety goes, I do think Gabe is looking like he's the right pineapple ready to get his head chopped off.
So now out of everybody, because I can tell you've been itching to say it,
What?
who do you actually see as the potential winners of this season? I know you said you gave your 4
Mm.
earlier, but I don't know if you're gonna have a video or something coming out, so don't feel the need to spoil, but, like,
No, I
who are
don't
you
per
looking at?
se. I don't have a video coming out talking about this. Here's the thing. Yeah, so I don't think Sam or Sierra. They were my top 4. I don't feel great about, I honestly, I don't feel great about Jen or Saul. Again, the early characterization of them was just not existent, and
Mhm.
it makes me really doubt that. Like, no winners get that other than like Natalie White, and that was such a unique situation that happened to her. Um, Even Erica had a lot going on. Even in the beginning, she was there. Like, Jen didn't really get much, and maybe I would be happy if Jen won, but I don't feel like her. I'm looking at the players that are basically Teeny, Rachel, Caroline, off Dark Horse Sue, just hanging on to that thread. I'm looking at the Women's Alliance coming together. Um, Andy was my original Dark Horse pick, but they keep reminding us that like Andy's kind of a buffoon. I don't know if
Yeah.
that's the right word, but the whole idol or the reward with the scroll that Saul found, that didn't look great for Andy, but it looked good
That
for
was a
Saul.
really bad scene for
I
him,
thought that was
and that's
pretty
what I
rough
said to
for
Will.
Andy. Like, what was
I
the
was like,
point of
"Will."
that? They could have easily not included that.
Yeah, they coulda just had Saul find it, and I said to Will, and
It's
he's
just
like, "No, no,
Andy
no, he
catching
got caught."
strays.
I'm like he's like, "They were setting that up as more of the reason why Sierra's gonna go
See,
home."
that
I'm
just
like,
sounds like
"Maybe that's
copium.
true, but
I'm sorry,
no."
that's pure copium.
It
Like, that's
was.
just like, I'm gonna justify why my person is gonna win, and it's like, or they're likely probably not gonna win. But hey,
Yeah.
look, I'm happy if Andy wins, it'd be amazing. I'd be totally down for it. So yeah, the players I talked about who you put at the top, I put at the top, most safe, but I also think they're like most likely to be the winner. One of these players is the winner. Um, Players that I wasn't thinking about earlier on, but with the way that the cookie's crumbling, Teeny has stayed consistent. I feel good.
Mhm.
Teeny's odds feel good about her. Caroline has been up and down. I've been feeling like she's been in the shadow of Sue for so long, and Sue has been so prevalent that it's always been this Sue show. And then it's like, what's Caroline doing? And that's just an unusual place to be. Usually you get a 50-50, or even if Caroline is the winner, she would overtake Sue, and maybe that will happen in the second half. But right now I'm just like, I don't know about Caroline. She's there. I mean, we've seen other players like Sophie be in the shadow of
Yeah.
coach. We've seen players be the wing in the
Michelle.
wing. Yeah,
Yeah.
Michelle, like they're the wingman to the main character who's not the winner. And I'm like, yeah, it could happen. Rachel, I don't know where Rachel came from. This was her episode. This felt like Erica almost. I was reminded of
Mhm.
Erica a little bit, where it's like, yeah, she's there, she's around, she's doing stuff, things are happening, she's not voted out. And then it's like, whoa, I'm rooting for that player. Like, where did I was rooting for Erica after. I was like, let's
Mhm.
go. Like, she's the big threat. Everybody's talking her up. There, it's giving very similar Erica vibes, where if you
Mhm.
rewatch 41 and you pay attention, every time people talk about Erica, they're like talking how good she is and how much of a threat she is and how she's
Yeah.
got to go. And all the big players are looking at Erica. And I'm like, huh, what's going on? And I feel like hearing this from like 3 or 4 players this season, this last week, is giving Erica vibes again. I'm just like, maybe Rachel is actually coming alive, and this will be like her strong second half.
Yeah.
I don't know. So I'm when you're asking like who I think is going to win, I'm like, I'm looking at those players right now.
Yeah. No, and I think that's the best way to do it right now. I mean, I feel like there's so many people that you have to be looking at multiple. Like for me, I feel like Teeny is probably my front runner, but Rachel, Caroline,
Yeah,
Saul, I give Saul a chance. I really do. I really give
yeah,
him a chance because again, I go back to it, man. I can't help myself. He was invisibler. Had a confessional in every episode, though. They
Eh,
they they gave Saul a
more than
confessional
Jen.
and they didn't give Genevieve one. That's kind of surprising to me. And I feel like now Saul has turned a corner. And like the room for that Bryson Wendell event, when Saul was looking around going, who was that? But I mean, they were going nuts. And Gabler's calling him
I
Saul the
would
Wrecking Ball.
I
He's
would
like, I think
love to see
Saul's gonna
Saul
win.
win. I would
Yeah,
love to see Saul win. That'd be so cool.
I could
Oh,
see
that'd be
it. That would be
so
a hell
good.
of a storyline.
Oh, it'll be fantastic. It might like I will say I will be biased. That might be set me up as one of my favorite, certainly new era seasons if that happened. That
Mhm.
storyline from where he was with Rome in at the beginning to where he ends up, if he's won the season, like, whew,
Yeah,
but then it makes me wonder, like, why didn't they give him more at the beginning? Like, what the heck?
yeah,
What was
I
that
know.
about? What was
And
that
maybe they
about?
were
This
trying
guy
to
is
hide a little
he's
bit.
great. People love him. Everybody online is rooting
Yeah.
for the guy. And Why
Was
didn't
he
I
the
feel
most
this
popular?
way? What was why were the blinders on in episodes like 1 through 2 or whatever? I don't
I think that Rob's fact checker, which is now Rome's fact checker,
know.
is saying that Saul is the most popular right now on the season.
I believe it.
I
I
do too.
feel it. I'm rooting for Saul. I would love for Saul to go far and keep doing what he's doing. He's fun. But I just don't know if I can buy him as a winner yet. So
Yeah.
it's gonna be tough. Also, it's a little circumstantial. I believe in the circumstantial content. Like you get circumstantial content, you had to get it no matter what. So it's like, yeah, he got a lot of stuff with his strategy around this, but he found the advantage. Would he get it otherwise? I don't know. Like,
Probably
is he
not.
getting content because he's doing well and they want to showcase him, or is it because he's like relevant? I don't know. The same thing with Rachel though. Like Rachel was in the spotlight, and I'm like, is this because she's just the odd duck out and she's surviving and this is what's going on? And we got to see what. But I'm like, I rewatched the episode before I came on the podcast,
Mhm.
and like, she looked really good, like all throughout
Oh,
everything,
I totally agree.
the way she talked, her strategy, her thought process, the way people talked about her. I was like, who are we talking about here? Like, this is the same who was like blindsided when Annika got voted out. Okay. All right, let's go. Sure. Why not? I'll buy it.
Yeah, and to me, when you're talking about circumstantial content, I feel like the two people who haven't gotten circumstantial content, but they're still getting plenty of content, which has them on my radar, are Teeny and Caroline.
I was gonna
That's
say
what,
teeny for
yeah,
sure.
Teeny and Caroline, like they haven't had to do anything. They
Yeah.
haven't
I would
really been
say,
a part of anything, and they're getting a lot of content. I mean, Caroline getting confessionals all through the early portion of the season when her tribe's not even going to tribal council.
true.
That's pretty crazy because it was like, oh, Sue is doing everything. But I mean, how many times have we seen in Survivor history, they'll give 12 confessionals to Sue and 0 to her sidekick? But they were making sure to let us see from Caroline, and
Yeah.
that means something.
It's giving Sophie.
Oh man.
Sophie to the Sue, the whatever she is, not the Dragon Slayer, but the 45-year-old not pickleball player.
Yeah, exactly. Damn, dude. No, I could see that. I could see
I
that.
could see it. Maybe they're in the final 3 and it's Sue as the runner-up or as the 0 vote finalist, and there's Caroline right there saying, I held her cane as we walked through this game.
Yeah, I like that. I love
I
this.
held her walker, you know? I don't know. Yeah, I could see it. It's a story. Maybe it's the
I
story.
I could absolutely see it. I could
Yeah.
absolutely see, and it would make sense why she'd be a B character in the early portion of the game. It's very similar to Erica was a B character until she got the hourglass, and then she became an
Yeah.
A
But it's
character.
like Heather getting crazy content instead of
Yeah,
being
exactly.
completely invisible.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what it feels like. So
I don't know. I'm excited to see how it's going to shake out, though.
I am
I feel
too.
like
I'm
they've done a
enjoying
great
it.
job so
Are
far.
you enjoying this season? I didn't ask you. Like,
Yeah,
you
I
asked
am.
me, but
I am. I'm thoroughly enjoying it. I think this is one of the strongest pre-merges we've ever had. And I mean, I
Mhm.
know the pre-merge kept going, but like there
I'm
was a
okay.
lot of back and forth. We got to know a lot of the players. The editors are having fun. The twists make sense. The twists are getting better. Everything about the show is moving in the right direction.
Yeah,
And that has me
every
feeling
week
so
I sit
positive.
down and I'm like, thank God Survivor's on. Like I'm really
Exactly.
enjoying, but I don't always feel like that. And it hasn't been the
I agree.
case for a lot of the new era seasons, the
Mhm.
episode to episode. Whereas this season, it's never been I've never once felt like, oh, all right, here we
Yeah.
go.
Can't believe I got to spend an hour and a half doing that instead of
I
something else. No,
know.
I
No,
agree.
I'm looking forward
We
to it.
could
So that's cool.
we could look back at this season, and while I think 46 might be better and 45 was a strong season, we could look back at this season though as kind of the one that was the rebirth of Survivor, where it
Maybe.
might not be the best, but it's the one that starts moving it in the direction that we want it to be moving in. And
Mm,
I think that that's very important. Like there are certain seasons, and I can't think of any off the top of my head, like 25, right?
sure.
Philippines isn't actually that amazing of a season, but it
Hey.
is so good compared to what came before it that it progressed the show in a direction it needed to go in. It went to 3 tribes. It had great characters. It told the
Yeah.
story the right way. Philippines to me is, it's a top half season. It's still a really good season of
I
Survivor.
think it's in
But
my top 10.
would it be okay? I mean, I think
I
that's
think it's
fair.
solid all around.
I think that's fair, but either way, I feel like Philippines was that season where it was universally acclaimed
Yeah.
because it was following up such a disaster. And you had 23, which was South Pacific, which some people really like. That's kind of like your 45, your 46. You're
Mm,
polarizing. Some people like it, some people don't. But then Philippines moved the show into kind of its second golden age because you had
right.
25, you had 27, 28, 29. Those are good seasons of Survivor.
They all are. I feel more like Philippines almost is in the shadow of Cagayan a little bit.
Mhm.
Whereas Kagiyan did the same thing with the 3 tribes,
Yeah.
but it just took it to another level, and
Yeah.
people just love Kagiyan, and then you've got Philippines. I'm like, Philippines was there too. It was 3 seasons
Yeah.
prior, and they did the same thing before it. They were not since All-Stars have we seen that really. Yeah, and 47, I'm like, I don't know. We'll see what happens with 50 coming up because that might be another reset. If it's a huge clash all-star season 50, who knows
Mhm.
what's gonna happen. I feel like David Goliath in 37 had a little bit of that momentum, but
Yeah.
then like 40 showed up and I guess the edge of extinction in a way, like it just
Edge of
completely
Extinction thwarted that
changed.
momentum.
It did, it kinda did, even though season has some merits to it, like, it
Mhm.
still changed so much from what we got with 37 to 38 to 40, so I'm almost like, are we just here 10 seasons later with, like, 47, and then 48 is gonna be, like, very I don't think 48 is gonna change much, I don't think they're doing Edge of Extinction or anything, but,
Yeah.
um, I don't know, we'll see. It's a interesting thought, though, it's fun to think about.
Yeah. Well, let's wrap this thing up because I'm actually podcasting about movie musicals tonight with John over for our
Oh,
movie podcast because Wicked comes out. So this month, Wicked comes out and Gladiator 2 comes out. So the two podcasts we're doing are top 10 movie musicals, and then we're ranking Ridley Scott's movies. So that
nice.
Ridley Scott one will be in two weeks, and then we're doing the movie musicals tonight. So I'm doing that. So I just wanted to make sure I jumped in here and said thank you, Peridiam.
Of
Great job
course.
as always. Always great to have you. I never said it because, I always forget, but like the video, subscribe to the channel,
Absolutely.
patreon.com/the specialist. Peridiam, what's your next video you got coming out?
So I was debating what to do. I have this video that I wasn't intending to release it, but it's so topical that I almost have no choice with the thumbnail. Unintentional too, but hey, here we are. The thumbnail is every vote counts. And I'm like, well, we got the election tomorrow. Like, come on. So I got to put out this video, but it wasn't intended to be released this week. It's talking about the theme of it was the most important votes in the history of Survivor, but it
Mm.
was more the title I'm going with is how a single vote changed the entire history of Survivor.
Ooh.
But it had nothing to do with the election, but it looks like it does.
And your thumbnail just happens to have Donald
I was
Trump and
like, what are the
Kamala
words?
Harris
Who do I
on it.
use? So I'm like, Boston Rob Lex, every vote counts
Mhm.
because every vote matters. It's like, yeah, there's just a fascinating thought of like what a single vote can do in the history of the show.
Yeah.
Like, Wu voting to keep Tony over Cass and what that
Mhm.
did for the trajectory of the next, rest of the history of this. Lex keeping Amber, and then also Lex not voting for Rob to win, and all of a sudden Rob's not a winner, and now he's back on Redemption Island and whatever. So it creates
Yeah.
this butterfly effect. That was my thought process with the
Yeah, I
video.
think I don't somebody had asked us like the best butterfly effects on one of our patron videos, and Will and I had talked about doing a butterfly effect episode. Maybe I know you're doing this, but maybe we do like in the off season, we do
I
like a
mean, I could
butterfly
absolutely talk about this
conversation.
because that's basically what this video is. It's like
Yeah.
5 most important votes, but
Because you can even go
yeah.
beyond the votes, though, if you're talking butterfly effects. I mean, you can just talk about
Oh,
a
yeah,
tribe
yeah.
crop or whatever. I mean, I feel like that'd be a fun podcast. Maybe we should do that in the off season, like get
Yeah,
together and
sure.
have that conversation. That's one I'll definitely listen to because you better have when Michelle Fitzgerald won as the biggest butterfly effect in Survivor history
Is
or whatever.
that number
That's the
1?
most important vote in the history of the show.
That's fair, but she didn't yeah, no, that's fine. Which vote was the most important? If you could single it to a single vote, though.
In the entire history of the show?
Or just for Michelle Fitzgerald, but also for
Oh
that.
God, for
Maybe
Michelle.
there's an
I was
overlap,
kind
a
of
perfect
trolling. I don't
circle.
know.
Like, every winner has the most important single vote cast for them. It could be the one that gets them the win, like Tony's would be Wu keeping him, obviously, over
Mhm.
Cass. I'm like, so it's a fun thought, like, what's the single there might not be. Some maybe it's just, like, a steamroll, and they just, like, Kim's every and
Honestly, the biggest one for Michelle is probably a vote she made to vote out Neil off the jury.
you think? Yeah, maybe.
Because
I mean, it
Neil would have
definitely was
voted for Aubrey, and he would have fought for Aubrey, and that might have helped Aubrey. I
might
mean,
have
was it
flipped.
5-2 final or something like that?
It
Something
was
like that?
5-2. It would have been 5-3 with Neil, so it took
And
one more
all that
vote.
takes is one person,
And I guess what, does tie break it? He would give it to Aubrey in the tiebreaker if tie gets
probably.
0 votes.
Yeah.
If it takes one person flipping. So maybe there's
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, okay. There you go. That's a interesting
But if
thought.
you're asking me in the history of the show, I think
Well,
that the most
for me, it was like, what had the biggest ripple effect?
yeah.
If you could pinpoint a single vote having the biggest ripple effect in the history of Survivor, that was like the original idea
Yeah.
for this video. And then I sort of went down a rabbit hole of other big votes and moments, and it led up to like what I thought was potentially had the biggest ripple effect. It's hard to explain though, because it's like, how does that? That's a whole podcast. You could spend an
I
hour and a
love
half
that.
talking
I
about.
love that. I'm excited for this video. I'm definitely gonna watch this one, and I feel like we need to bookmark this because we need to remember we should have this whole conversation. We could talk for 2 hours about I could say right now, you know who I think the biggest, most important vote out in the history of the show is right now? And you guys are
Sure.
going to laugh at me.
No, I
It's when they
don't.
voted out Holy Peter in Marquesas because they voted out Holy Peter instead of voting out Patricia
Holy Peter. I was like, who?
or
Holly? Did you
Sarah.
say Holly?
Holy Peter. And that
Holy
led to the
Peter.
downfall of that tribe because, even though he was a weirdo, he still would have been probably made them more
Are you talking
competitive.
about Gabe?
No. Holy Peter,
No.
the first guy voted out.
I don't remember how Peter's impact affected.
Well, so what happens is Peter gets voted off of that tribe, and then that tribe continues to lose.
They did lose, yeah.
And they never get the numbers. And that's why Boston Rob can't get his footing. Hunter and Gina go out pre-merge. That's what sets up a 5-4 flip. Like you can have it final 9. So to me, Holy Peter might be the most important one because you think about the legacy of Marquesas. Marquesas really changed Survivor probably the most out of any of those early seasons.
Mine is definitely my biggest vote out is a first boot.
There you go. I like that.
But it's not Holy Peter. But yeah.
That's okay.
That's
Holy
okay.
Peter. Don't worry. He's not actually holy, everybody. He's actually literally talking about holes.
I know.
One of my favorite confessionals of all time. I thought he was religious. He's just talking about holes.
It's so ridiculous.
Anyway.
Anyway, that's what I'm up to. So that's my video coming out this week.
Cool. All right, everybody. Well, yeah, as Peridiam said, he's gonna have that video coming out. Good luck with election day. Stay sane out there. Everybody like the video, subscribe to the channel, patreon.com/thespecialist. And we will see you on Wednesday night. It'll be Will and I recapping episode number 8 of Survivor 47. Thank you all. Bye.